Hello, this is the final tutorial looking at the use of conditional statements and loops. So far we've looked at the use of if statements, while statements and for statements. And if you've been following those past tutorials, you should be at a point where your code looks something like this. And when we execute it, we create a line of wall sections, L-shaped wall sections, shaped as you can see on screen. Now, if you remember back to tutorial 1, we want to create a grid of wall sections. This is the grid that's going to form the walls of a maze that we're going to be working on in the fourth set of tutorials. So, if we've got a wall of 10 walls, a wall of 10 sections created just by repeating the same code 10 times. Well, if we want a 10 by 10 grid, we just need to repeat everything within this 10 times as well. And this is where it gets a bit tricky. This is what we call nesting statements. We are going to have a for statement inside of a false for statement. So currently we have a for statement that tracks this variable WC for wall count and changes the location of the horizontal and vertical tiles on the x-axis by 100. What we're going to do is add in another statement that's also going to repeat 10 times, but that is going to change the location of the horizontal and vertical wall sections by 100 on the x-axis. So, let's have a look at how we do this. It's very important at this point that we keep track of our brackets. Keep track of what is doing what and where. So, we're going to set up a new for statement. And this is still going to be keeping track of the wall count, so we're going to use wall count, but this is going to be linked to the y, so I'm going to call this WCY and equal to 100. So far the same, and WCY is less than 10, and WCY plus plus. Alright, so we've replicated the code, but we've changed the name of the variable because this is going to be tracking along the y-axis. And again, everything needs to be within squiggly brackets. And at this point, this loop here, this first loop, is changing location x on the location h on the x-axis and my location v on the x-axis. We also want to change those on the y-axis. So, similar code to above, my location h dot y plus equals 100. Make sure you've got your typing right. Got a couple of errors picked up here by IntelliSense. There we go, my location, also variable here, it should be a capital. And we're going to type my location v dot y plus equals 100. Now, the code as it stands is going to work to an extent. It is going to repeat this 10 times, it is going to move along the y-axis, it is going to give us 100 wall sections in total, but it's not going to quite give us the grid that we're looking for. So let's have a look at why. First of all, we're going to compile, and once that's done, let's play and see what we've got. So, we've got our wall sections, but you can see they don't quite line up. This is because we've never reset the x-axis. So the x-axis is continuing to increase and increase and increase and increase. So let's go back into our code. As well as increasing the y-axis every time this initial loop loops again, we also want to reset the x locations. So location h dot x, and here we just want to set it to be equal to 0. And my location v dot x equal to 0. Now, if you've been paying attention to the code, you'll actually notice that they don't start at 0. My location h dot x and my location v dot y start at 50. So I need to go in here, and my location h.x actually needs to start at 50. This is because if we didn't do this, they would start at the exact same coordinates on their central point, so we'd actually be forming a cross rather than an L shape. So let's go in, compile one last time, and let's play it. And hopefully we should have a nice grid. Now, at the moment, you'll notice we've got some additional wall sections hanging over two sides of our grid. Using the nesting and if statements that you've just learnt, you should be able to figure out how to add additional code to either get rid of those additional wall sections or add wall sections to the right and bottom of the grid in order to close those off. So in these tutorials we've looked at if statements, while statements and for statements, with the while statement and for statements being used for loops, and we've also learned how to nest statements. Nesting statements isn't unique to for statements, we can nest while statements and if statements as well. Thank you for watching.